In this video we're going to make a basic tile, so we're just going to learn the basics of tiling in Illustrator. So we've just made a basic circle there, so we're just going to make a spot repeat. So if you go up here, make your ellipse tool, make your circle, and then we're going to move this into the corner of the artboard. If you're ever unsure about what size artboard, well, you would have made your artboard from new up here, so you would have actually chosen the size of your artboard, so it'll say there. But if you've forgotten, click on your artboard tool down here and it'll come up in your properties panel. So you've got your width and your height here, and if you go into document setup, it will tell you what the bleed is as well. So if you want to change the bleed, or if you've forgotten to add in a bleed, you can add it in there. So you click OK on that. So it's much simpler, I think, to do a repeat in Illustrator than Photoshop, because all you have to do is select your circle, click enter, and you get a little move box come up. And because we know our artboard is 190 by 190, just type in 190 there, horizontal, and then 0 vertical. And if you click on the preview button here, you can actually see it moves across. So instead of clicking OK, click copy, and it copies both the circles over. And then we want to copy these two down, so we know this is a 190 by 190 artboard again, so we click enter. So we don't want it to go horizontal at all, we just want it to go 190 down. Click copy again, and then it's just a case of filling in the gaps. So you can add a circle in there. Let's say we want that to go up at the top. Ooh, what have I done? Oh, I've gone horizontal there. So minus goes up, and then the plus goes down. It's gone off the screen there, so you can't see it, but so minus goes up, and just fill that section in there. So this will be called a full repeat because this will be going down, so it won't be going across as a half step. This one will be going a full step, so it'll just be going straight down. So once you're happy with the repeat and you'd like to test it out, you'd like to test out your tile, we will clip this together. One thing just before I go on to that, sometimes it's easier if you accidentally move this one, you've broken the tile now because that one and that one don't repeat. So sometimes it's easier if you select your two there. So you go Control G. So if you're using a Mac, you want Apple G, but I know some of you will have the cheaper the cheaper Mac keyboards. So it's either Apple or House on your keyboard, depending on which keyboard you've got in the studio. So it's Apple or House G to group things together. So now when you move this one, if you were to move this accidentally, you're not breaking the tile at all. So if you can select those four, because those four are a repeat of each other. There's Apple or House G to group those. So if you just wanted to, if you say you weren't very happy with the spacing there or here, let's say you wanted to fill that gap in a bit more, you can move them like that. So once you're happy with your tile, we want to create a clipping mask over the top of this. So we're going to select our rectangle tool and double click, and you'll get a rectangle tool. So you've got 190, it's a 190 by 190 tile, but you also want to add in the bleed. So you want to make this, so it's 5mm either side, so it's 200 by 200. Click OK. Then using your black arrow, select your rectangle tool, your rectangle shape. If you go over to your line box out over here, if you've not got an align box, go Window, Align, and you just align to the artboard. So that one centers it on the y-axis and that one centers it on the x-axis, I think. If they're not moving, is because you've got align to selection chosen. You want align to artboard selected. So those, click those two there, and then it's Apple or House A to select everything, and then Apple or House 7 to create a clipping mask. You want to make sure when you're making a clipping mask, we will go properly, we'll have a proper clipping mask video, but you want to just make sure that your rectangle is the highest point. So you want to make sure it's above all the artwork. So if I just to give you an example, if I make that and we make that a grey, so we know that that is above all the artwork there. So when we go to clip this, we've selected everything. So Apple or House A, and then we're going to clip it, Apple or House 7, that works. But if we were to send that to behind the artwork, this won't work now. So we've selected everything, then we go to clip it, it doesn't work, it doesn't clip how you'd like it to. So if you're ever unsure, there's two ways. You can either literally make it as a new layer above, so copy that in and align it, or if you want to keep it on the same layer, paste it in. If you cut, so house or Apple X and then House or Apple F, that brings it to the front, so you know it's at the front here because it's on the top layer here. You could also just move it in the actual layer, so if you know where it is, if you have loads and loads and loads of layers, so if you've got a massive art file here, you can go, if you turn that off, if you click on that shape and you go locate object, it will find it for you. So you can just click on that and move it to the top. But I find it's quicker just to go Apple or House X and Apple or House F, and then you control Apple or House A to select everything, Apple or House 7 to clip, and now that is a clipped shape, so everything is within it. And then you just double check, we click enter again, and then 190 across. So you want to repeat it across without the bleed. So you want to clip it with the bleed, but repeat it across without the bleed. Then copy, and then as this is a full step, we want to go 190 across and 190 down. Then that looks like it works pretty well to me. Obviously this is a very simple, just a spot design, so you want to really make sure as it gets more and more complicated, you know, these things will get a bit more difficult. So if you're unhappy with this, say you're unhappy with these two, you want to make these smaller. If you use your black arrow, you're selecting the clipping mask, but if you want to choose something inside the clipping mask, you can use your white arrow and then go into your black arrow, and you can actually make these smaller inside the clipping mask. Or if you want to see the whole shape but not get rid of the clipping mask, just double click, and now you're inside the clipping mask, so you can see up here it's brought you up to a group, so you're inside the clipping group, so you can move these around with your black arrow to wherever you want, and then you just go back and back, and then you're back to the main group now. Or if you want to just delete the clipping mask altogether, just right click and release the clipping mask. So if you wanted to make a half step, you've still got the square there, it just doesn't have any colour on it at all, so you can delete that if you want. So we're going to use our white arrow, because all these are grouped now, I'm going to select these in the group, delete those. So we're going to make, instead of having something that just goes down, we're going to have something that goes across. So we're going to click on those two, across. So we want it to go across half and down one whole. So half of 190 is 95, and then we want it to go down a whole, so it's 190. So it's going to go there. Then we're going to do the same for that one. And it's remembered my settings from the last one, so you can preview to see where it goes. Copy. And then because that's going there, we also want it to be here as well. So you end up with the triangle. So minus 190. Okay. And then when we're happy with that, let's say we want another one in there. Let's copy that across. 190. So then we choose our rectangle, so we need to make the clipping mask over the top. So it's 190 plus 5mm bleed either side, so it's 200mm by 200mm. And then we use our black arrow or V on the keyboard, and this is M on the keyboard for the rectangle tool. And then we align to the artboard, so if that's not moving, don't forget you just click align to the artboard. And then Apple or house A to select everything, and then Apple or house 7 to clip. And then we'll double check that. So you can copy across. And then this is a half step, so it's half across, half horizontal and a full vertical. So you end up with a wrap. And that we know that works. You'll know if something doesn't work because as you're testing it, if we align this back on the artboard, let's say we've moved one of these accidentally, so that these these three should be a copy of each other, but I've moved this one deliberately so we can see what it looks like when it's broken. So we go 190, you can see already that that doesn't repeat there, so you know you'd have a problem with your tile. So you can go back in, delete that. So you can either choose your white arrow there, delete that one and move that one back in place, or you could go back in, or you could just release the clipping mask completely and repeat the whole process all over again.